Jia Kim sat in the back row of the tactical classroom, her eyes fixed on the holographic battle display. While other cadets chatted and laughed, she studied the moving ships with complete focus. The simulation showed a classic pincer movement that had won the Battle of Europa 50 years ago. Jia noticed 3 flaws in the winning strategy right away. "Time's up. Submit your analysis," called out Commander Park. He was a tall man with a square jaw and perfect posture. Everyone at the United Earth Space Academy respected him. Jia tapped her screen and sent her work. She had written only 2 paragraphs, but they contained more insight than most cadets' full pages of notes. 10 minutes later, Commander Park frowned at his tablet. "Most of you missed the key factors in this victory," he said, pacing in front of the class. "Except," he paused, looking surprised. "Cadet Kim has identified not only the main strategy, but also suggested 3 improvements that could have ended the battle 40 minutes sooner." Heads turned toward Jia. Some cadets looked confused, as if noticing her for the first time. "Did someone help you with this, Cadet Kim?" Commander Park asked, his tone suggesting he already knew the answer. "No, sir," Jia said quietly. At 22 years old, she stood only 5 feet tall. Her voice was soft but clear. Commander Park nodded but didn't smile. "Good work," he said flatly, then moved on to critique other students' work at length. After class, Jia packed her tablet and headed to the mess hall alone. She didn't mind eating by herself. It gave her time to think. "Hey, wait up," a voice called from behind. It was Hana, Jia's roommate. Unlike Jia, Hana was loud, friendly, and popular. "That was amazing in class today. Did you see Park's face?" Jia smiled slightly. "He still doesn't believe I did it myself." "Well, I know you did," Hana said, linking her arm through Jia's as they walked. "You're probably the smartest person in the academy. Park just can't see it because you don't show off like the others." They entered the busy mess hall and found a small table in the corner. 3 tables away, a group of senior cadets were talking excitedly. "Did you hear?" one said loudly. "They're holding the orbital war games early this year. Teams will be announced tomorrow." Jia felt a small thrill. The orbital war games were the most prestigious competition at the academy. Teams of cadets would command small fleets in complex battle simulations. Winners often received their choice of postings after graduation. "You should be picked as a team leader," Hana said between bites of her lunch. "Your simulation scores are the highest in our class." Jia shook her head. They never pick quiet cadets for leadership roles. The next morning, the entire academy gathered in the main hall. Admiral Yang, head of the academy, stood on stage next to Commander Park and other instructors. "The 75th Annual Orbital War Games will begin next week," Admiral Yang announced. "This year is special because representatives from 5 allied planets will observe. Commander Park will now announce the team assignments." Commander Park stepped forward with his tablet. He read name after name, assigning positions to eager cadets. The best positions, Fleet Commander, Tactical Officer, and Weapons Specialist, went to the loudest, most confident cadets. "Cadet Kim," Commander Park finally said, almost as an afterthought. "Logistics and supply coordination." Whispers spread through the crowd. Logistics was important but unglamorous. It meant Jia would monitor resources and schedule supply runs, not plan battle strategy. Hana squeezed Jia's arm in sympathy. "That's not fair. Your tactical scores." "It's fine," Jia said quietly, though her stomach felt tight with disappointment. After the ceremony, Commander Park walked past Jia. He stopped briefly. "Logistics suits you, Cadet Kim," he said. "It's detail-oriented, quiet, behind the scenes." He nodded as if he'd done her a favor, then walked away. Jia watched him go. She didn't argue or complain. But deep inside, a small flame of determination grew stronger. They didn't take her seriously now. But someday, they would have to. 3 days into the War Games preparations, all screens at the academy suddenly flashed red. Emergency alarms blared through every corridor. Jia looked up from her logistics terminal, heart racing. "All cadets report to the main hall immediately," announced a tense voice over the speakers. Jia met Hana in the crowded hallway. Around them, cadets pushed and shoved, fear clear on their faces. "What's happening?" Jia asked. "No idea," Hana said, "but it's not a drill. Look at the instructors." The academy staff rushed past with grim faces. Commander Park barked orders into his communicator, his usual confidence replaced by tight worry. In the main hall, Admiral Yang stood on the stage. His normally perfect uniform looked rumpled, as if he had dressed in a hurry. Behind him played a large video screen showing a Earth ship floating dead in space. Parts of it glowed red from weapons fire. "Cadets," Admiral Yang began, his voice heavy, "what I am about to tell you changes everything. 6 hours ago, our diplomatic vessel Harmony was attacked without warning near the Proxima Centauri system. Gasps filled the room. The Harmony had been sent to meet a newly discovered alien species called the Arcani. It was supposed to be humanity's first peaceful contact with them. The Arcani destroyed half our ship before our captain could even speak," Admiral Yang continued. "They allowed a few escape pods to return with a message." He pressed a button, and the screen changed. A tall, muscular alien appeared. Its skin was gray-blue with ridges on its face. Yellow eyes glowed with cold pride. "Humans," the alien said in a deep voice. "I am Supreme Commander Krav of the Arcani Dominion. We have studied your transmissions. We find your species weak and unworthy of galactic citizenship." The hall fell silent as the message continued. "Your soft bodies and peaceful ways disgust us. Strong species conquer. Weak species serve or die. You have 2 Earth weeks to surrender your planet. If you resist, we will destroy you completely." The screen went black. For several seconds, no one moved or spoke. "The Arcani fleet is 3 times larger than our entire defense force," Admiral Yang finally said. "Their weapons are more advanced than ours. But humanity will not surrender." He straightened his shoulders. "The war games are canceled. All senior cadets are now activated for real service. You will receive your assignments within 24 hours. As cadets filed out in stunned silence, Commander Park called out, "Tactical team leaders, report to Briefing Room 1 immediately." Jia watched as the chosen team leaders followed him. She turned to head back to her dormitory. "Cadet Kim," said a voice behind her. It was Commander Park's assistant. "You're needed in Briefing Room 2. All logistics officers are being reassigned to emergency planning." In Briefing Room 2, Jia sat at the back as senior officers argued about supply lines and evacuation plans. Earth had never faced a threat this serious. No one seemed to have a clear plan. On the wall screens, videos of the Arcani ships played on loop. Jia watched them carefully. While the officers debated, she noticed something about the alien vessels. They moved in perfect formations, but always the same patterns. Their attacks were powerful but predictable. She pulled out her tablet and began taking notes, recording the timing between Arcani maneuvers. A pattern emerged in her data. After an hour of analysis, Jia realized something important. The Arcani fought by strict rules. Their formations never varied. "Excuse me," she said quietly, raising her hand. No one noticed. "Excuse me," she said again, louder this time. A few annoyed officers glanced her way. "Cadet, we're in the middle of important planning," one said dismissively. "I see a pattern in the Arcani attack formations," Jia explained. "I think." "Cadet Kim," interrupted Commander Park, who had just entered the room. "Return to your logistics duties. Leave strategy to the experienced officers." Jia lowered her hand slowly. As she gathered her notes, she knew what she had discovered could be important, but no one would listen to her, not yet. For the next 3 days, Jia worked in the logistics center, managing supply routes and evacuation plans, but her mind kept returning to the Arcani attack patterns she had seen. During breaks, she studied more footage and added to her notes. On the 4th day, Earth received another message from the Arcani. Their fleet had destroyed a small outpost on Mars as a demonstration. The faces of Earth's leaders grew more worried. Time was running out. "They're going to kill us all," whispered a cadet working next to Ja. "My family lives in New Seoul. Should I tell them to run? Where would they even go?" Gia said nothing, but her hands tightened around her tablet. That night, she didn't sleep. Instead, she worked through every piece of Arcani footage, tracking their movements, noting the exact timing between attacks. By morning, she had filled 3 notebooks with calculations and diagrams. She saw it clearly now. The Arcani ships moved like pieces in a complex game with fixed rules. If she was right, Earth might have a chance. When her shift ended, Gia went to the command center where daily briefings were held. Officers and senior cadets crowded the room. Admiral Yang stood at the front, his face grim as reports came in. "Our current defense plan gives us a 15% chance of survival," said a gray-haired woman in a general's uniform. "We simply don't have enough ships or weapons to match their firepower." Gia raised her hand. No one noticed. "If we concentrate our forces at these 5 points," continued the general, pointing to a map, "we might be able to hold them off long enough for civilian ships to escape the solar system." Gia took a deep breath and stood up. "Excuse me," she said, louder than she had ever spoken before. Heads turned her way. "Cadet Kim," Commander Park frowned. "This is a strategic briefing. Logistics personnel should be in Hall B." "Sir, I've analyzed the Arcani attack patterns," Gia said quickly, before she could be dismissed. "Their formations follow strict rules. They never deviate. That's a weakness we can use." The room fell silent. Admiral Yang looked at her with tired eyes. "Explain," he said simply. Gia stepped forward and connected her tablet to the main display. Her diagrams appeared on the screen. "The Arcani always attack in these 5 formations," she said, pointing to her careful drawings. "They rotate between patterns in a fixed sequence, and they always leave the same blind spots." She showed video clips she had marked, highlighting gaps in the Arcani defenses that appeared at regular intervals. "If we time our attacks precisely and target these spots," she continued, "small strike teams could disable their ships with minimal losses. We don't need to match their firepower. We just need to hit them where and when they can't defend." When she finished speaking, the room remained quiet. Then Commander Park cleared his throat. "This is an interesting academic exercise, Cadet Kim," he said. "But real battles aren't like simulations. These theories ignore the chaos of actual combat." "With respect, sir," Gio replied, surprising herself with her boldness. "The Arcani don't fight with chaos. They fight with rigid precision. That's why they're strong, but it's also why they can be beaten." A few officers nodded thoughtfully. Most looked skeptical. "Thank you for your input, Cadet," Admiral Yang said finally. "We'll take it under advisement. Now please return to your assigned duties." As Gia gathered her materials, she heard officers already returning to their original plans. They weren't going to use her strategy. They didn't believe her. Outside the briefing room, she found Hannah waiting. "They didn't listen, did they?" Hannah asked, seeing Gia's face. "No," Gia said quietly. "So what now?" Gia thought for a moment. "I need to find someone who will listen. Someone who can help me prove this will work." "I might know someone," Hannah said, her eyes brightening. "My cousin Ta. He's a junior officer in the simulator division. He could help us run your strategy through the battle computers." For the first time in days, Gia felt a spark of hope. "When can we meet him?" "Tonight," Hannah said with determination. "After curfew." That night, after the academy had grown quiet, Gia and Hannah slipped out of their room. The hallways were dimly lit and empty. Breaking curfew meant serious punishment, but Gia felt they had no choice. "This way," Hannah whispered, leading them down a side corridor. Ta said to meet him at the back entrance to Simulator Lab 3. They moved quickly through the darkness, freezing whenever they heard footsteps. Finally, they reached a metal door with a small blue light above it. Hannah knocked 3 times, paused, then knocked twice more. The door slid open. A young man stood inside. He had kind eyes and a nervous smile. "Hurry," he said, pulling them inside. "Security does rounds every 20 minutes." The simulator lab was much bigger than the training rooms cadets normally used. 6 large pods stood in the center, surrounded by control panels with glowing screens. This is Jia," Hannah said. "She's the one I told you about." Ta bowed slightly. "Hannah says you have a strategy that might work against the Arcani. I want to help." Jia looked around uncertainly. "Won't we get in trouble for using this equipment?" "Probably," Ta admitted. "I'm only a junior technician. I'm not supposed to run simulations without permission. But if there's even a small chance your idea could save Earth," he shrugged, "it's worth the risk." For the next 3 hours, Jia explained her theory while Todd programmed the simulator. They created virtual ships based on Earth's fleet and the Arcani formations from the footage. "Ready for the first test," Ta finally said. "Let's see if your timing strategy works." The main screen lit up with a battle scene. Tiny dots representing Earth ships faced a larger Arcani fleet. Following Jia's instructions, Ta positioned their forces to attack the predicted blind spots in the Arcani formation. The simulation ran. At first, Earth's ships took heavy damage. But as the Arcani shifted to their second formation, Jia called out adjustments. "Now, target the weak points at these coordinates," she said, pointing to spots on the screen. Ta input the commands. On screen, Earth's ships darted into gaps in the Arcani defense. In the simulation, 3 Arcani vessels were disabled with minimal Earth casualties. "It worked," Hannah exclaimed. "For the first phase," Jia said cautiously, "but the Arcani will adapt. We need to run more tests." They ran the simulation 7 more times, refining the strategy with each attempt. By the final run, their tactics disabled half the Arcani fleet, while losing only 30% of Earth's forces. "This is incredible," Ta said, staring at the results. "With these odds, we might actually survive." The door to the lab suddenly slid open. They turned in fear, expecting security guards. Instead, an older man in an admiral's uniform stood there, watching them with sharp eyes. "Admiral Song," Ta gasped, jumping to attention. "Officer Lee," the admiral said calmly. "I don't recall authorizing after-hours simulations." "Sir, I can explain," Ta began. "No need." Admiral Song walked into the room, eyes fixed on the battle results on the screen. "I received an alert that someone was running high-level battle simulations. I came to see who had the nerve." He turned to Jia. "You're Cadet Kim, aren't you? The one who spoke up at the briefing today?" Jia nodded, her heart pounding. "Yes, sir." "Your theory was dismissed rather quickly," the admiral said. "Yet here you are, working through the night to prove it." "Sir, this was my idea," Ta said quickly. "If anyone should be punished." Admiral Song held up his hand. "I'm not here to punish anyone. Not yet, anyway." He pointed to the screen. "These results, they're promising, but simulations can be manipulated." "I didn't manipulate anything, sir," Jia said firmly. "These are accurate models based on the actual Arcani footage." Admiral Song studied her face. "Then prove it. Tomorrow at 800, main simulation chamber. Run your strategy with me watching. If it works, I'll take it to the council. If it fails," he shrugged, "well, you'll all be on sanitation duty until the Arcani arrive." After the admiral left, Hannah let out a breath. "Was that good or bad?" "Both," Ta said. "Admiral Song is respected, but also known for being hard to impress." Jia stared at the simulation results. "Then we'll have to impress him." At exactly 800 the next morning, Jia stood in the main simulation chamber. She had not slept. Instead, she had spent the night refining her strategy, testing for flaws, and preparing her presentation. Admiral Song arrived with 4 other high-ranking officers. Commander Park was among them, looking surprised and annoyed to see Jia. Cadet Kim, Admiral Song said, "Show us what you've discovered." With steady hands, Jia connected her tablet to the main computer. The huge screen at the front of the room lit up with her diagrams and calculations. The Arcani follow 5 main attack patterns, she began. Each pattern has specific blind spots that appear at predictable moments. For the next 20 minutes, she explained her strategy in simple, clear terms. Some officers looked interested, others seemed skeptical. Commander Park's frown deepened with each passing minute. "Theory is one thing," he said when she finished. "Let's see it in practice." Admiral Song nodded. "Run the simulation, Cadet." Jia took a deep breath and started the program. On the giant screen, virtual ships representing Earth's forces faced the much larger Arcani fleet. Following her strategy, Earth's ships moved in seemingly random patterns, but each movement was carefully timed. When the Arcani shifted to their second formation, Earth's ships darted forward, targeting the predicted blind spots. The simulation showed 3 Arcani vessels disabled in the first wave. "Impressive," murmured one of the officers. The battle continued. Earth's forces took losses but inflicted greater damage on the Arcani. By the end of the simulation, Earth had lost 28% of its fleet, while disabling 52% of the Arcani ships. Silence filled the room when the simulation ended. The officers looked at each other, then at Admiral Song. "The simulation was rigged," Commander Park finally said. "These results are too good to be true." "I checked the program myself," Admiral Song replied calmly. "The simulation used accurate data from our intelligence reports." He turned to Jia. "Cadet Kim, your strategy shows promise, but the Military Council has already approved a different battle plan. The most I can do is recommend they consider your approach as a secondary option." Jia's heart sank. They still weren't taking her seriously. 3 days later, she was called to Admiral Song's office. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. "The Council reviewed your strategy," he said without preamble. "They acknowledged its merit, but decided to stick with the original plan." Jia nodded, unsurprised but disappointed. "However," the Admiral continued, "I've been given permission to assign you a small fleet for a diversionary mission." Jia looked up in surprise. "Sir?" 12 ships, Cadet Kim. "Not our newest or best, but functional. You'll be given the rank of acting commander for this mission." Jia could hardly believe what she was hearing. "What are my orders?" "Officially, you're to distract a portion of the Arcani fleet while our main forces execute the primary strategy," Admiral Song explained. "Unofficially." He paused, looking at her directly. "This is your chance to prove your theory works." "But 12 ships against their fleet is all I could get you," the Admiral said firmly. "Most of the Council sees this as a token gesture. They don't expect your mission to accomplish anything significant." He stood and looked out his window at the Academy grounds. "We have 5 days before the Arcani reach Earth, Cadet Kim. Make them count." As Jia left the Admiral's office, she felt a mix of emotions. She finally had a chance to prove her strategy, but with minimal resources and little support. The fate of Earth might depend on her, yet most still saw her as just a quiet cadet playing at war games. In the corridor, she found Hannah and Ta waiting anxiously. "Well?" Hannah asked. "I've been given command of 12 ships," Jia said. "A diversionary mission." Ta grinned. "Then we'd better start preparing. I've been assigned as your communications officer. And I'll be your tactical assistant," Hannah added. "Admiral Song approved our transfers this morning." For the first time in days, Jia felt a spark of hope. She might be leading the smallest fleet in Earth's defense, but at least she wouldn't be doing it alone. Jia stood on the bridge of the Swift Arrow, the largest of her 12 ships. It wasn't much, a 10-year-old light cruiser that had been scheduled for retirement before the Arcani threat, but now it was her command center. "Acting commander on deck," called out an officer as she entered. The bridge crew stood at attention. Most were older than Jia, career officers who had been quickly assigned to her mission. Their faces showed what they thought of serving under a cadet who had never seen real combat. "At ease," Jia said quietly. "Status report, please." A tall man with gray hair stepped forward. "Captain Doe, ma'am. All 12 ships are ready and await your orders. Crews are complete." His slight pause made his opinion clear. "Thank you, Captain," Jia replied, trying to sound confident. "Please gather all ship captains for a briefing in 1 hour." As Captain Doe left to carry out her orders, Hannah approached from her tactical station. "They don't believe in us," she whispered. "They don't have to believe," Jia said. "They just have to follow orders." The briefing room was small, with just enough space for the 12 ship captains and Jia's core team. As the captains filed in, their skepticism filled the room like a heavy cloud. "Officers," Jia began, "in 18 hours, the Arcani fleet will reach Earth orbit. Our mission is officially classified as a diversion, but I intend to do much more than distract the enemy." She activated the display table, showing a holographic map of space around Earth. Tiny blue dots represented their 12 ships. A mass of red dots showed the approaching Arcani fleet. "The Arcani have superior numbers and firepower," Jia continued. "But they have a critical weakness. They fight according to fixed patterns and never deviate from them." Captain Doe crossed his arms. "With respect, Acting Commander, how could you possibly know their battle patterns? We've never fought them before. I've analyzed every second of footage from their attack on the Harmony and Mars outpost," Jia explained. "The Arcani repeat the same formations and maneuvers, leaving predictable gaps in their defenses." She played a simulation showing their small fleet moving in precise patterns, targeting weak spots in the Arcani formations. "Each of your ships will follow specific timing and targeting protocols," Jia said. "We'll strike at their blind spots, disable key systems, then quickly retreat before they can respond." "This is a suicide mission," muttered one of the captains. "No," Jia said firmly. "It's our best chance of survival. The simulations show." "Simulations aren't reality," interrupted Captain Doe. "War isn't a computer program, Acting Commander." The room grew tense. Jia looked around at the doubtful faces. These experienced officers were now her responsibility. If she was wrong, they would all die. "You're right, Captain," she admitted. "Reality is messier than simulations. That's why I've built flexibility into our approach. Each ship has secondary and tertiary targets if primary ones become impossible." She stepped closer to the display, highlighting specific Arcani vessels. "These are their command ships. If we can disable even 2 of them, we'll disrupt their entire fleet's coordination." For the next hour, Jia explained every detail of her plan. Slowly, the doubt in the room began to shift. Not to full belief, but to cautious consideration. As the briefing ended, Captain Doe remained behind. "Your plan has merit," he said reluctantly. "But these officers need more than clever tactics. They need to believe their commander won't get them killed for nothing." "What would you suggest?" Jia asked. "Visit each ship before the battle. Let them see you. Let them ask questions. Be honest about the risks." Jia nodded. "I'll start now." Through the next 12 hours, Jia visited all 12 ships. She spoke with crews, answered questions, and listened to concerns. With each visit, she felt the weight of command grow heavier. On her return to the Swift Arrow, she found Commander Park waiting in the docking bay. "Commander," she said, surprised. "What brings you here?" "The main fleet launches in 6 hours," he said stiffly. "Admiral Song asked me to check on your preparations." "We're ready, sir." Commander Park looked uncomfortable. "Cadet Kim." "Acting Commander, remember that your mission is diversionary. Don't attempt anything heroic. Draw their attention and retreat. That's all." As he turned to leave, he added, "Don't embarrass the Academy by getting yourself killed." Jia watched him go, then headed to her quarters. In 6 hours, they would face the Arcani. In 6 hours, she would finally have the chance to prove everyone wrong. Arcani fleet detected at the edge of our solar system, reported Ta from his communication station. Earth's main defense fleet is moving to intercept. Gia stood on the bridge of the Swift Arrow, watching the large display screen. Red dots representing the Arcani ships moved in perfect formation, just as she had predicted. Blue dots showing Earth's main fleet moved to meet them. All ships, maintain position, Gia ordered. Her small fleet was hidden behind Mars, out of the Arcani's immediate sensor range. Wait for my signal. On screen, the two fleets engaged. Bright flashes marked where ships fired on each other. Almost immediately, several blue dots vanished. Earth's fleet was taking heavy losses. Earth Command is following the original battle plan, Hannah said, monitoring tactical data. They're trying to overwhelm the Arcani center with concentrated fire. It won't work, Gia said quietly. The Arcani center is their strongest point. Minutes passed. More blue dots disappeared from the screen. Earth's fleet was being decimated. Acting Commander, Captain Doe said urgently, we should engage now. The main fleet needs help. Not yet, Gia replied, her eyes fixed on the Arcani formation. They haven't shifted to their secondary pattern. We need to wait. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Waiting while their comrades died felt wrong. There, Gia suddenly pointed at the screen. The Arcani are changing formation. All ships prepare for micro-jump sequence Alpha. Her 12 ships powered up their engines. Micro-jumps plotted and ready, reported the navigation officer. Execute jump in 3, 2, 1. Now. The Swift Arrow shuddered as it made a short, faster-than-light jump. The other 11 ships jumped simultaneously. They reappeared behind the Arcani fleet, precisely where Gia had predicted a gap would be. All ships target designated weak points, Gia ordered calmly. Fire. 12 Earth ships fired at specific points on the Arcani vessels. They targeted engine cooling systems, sensor arrays, and weapon power relays, all spots Gia had identified from studying the footage. Direct hits on all targets. Hannah reported excitedly. 3 Arcani ships disabled. Prepare for jump sequence Beta, Gia said. They'll respond in 9 seconds. Just as she predicted, the Arcani ships began to turn. But before they could target Gia's fleet, her ships jumped again, reappearing at another calculated blind spot. Fire. Again, precise hits damaged key Arcani systems. 2 more enemy ships went dark. They're confused, Ta said, listening to Arcani communications. Their commanders are arguing about how to respond. This doesn't fit any battle scenario they recognize. For 20 minutes, Gia's fleet continued this pattern. Jump, strike, jump again. Each attack disabled more Arcani ships, while her fleet remained largely intact. Earth Command is hailing us, Tay announced. On screen appeared the stern face of the admiral leading the main fleet. Acting Commander Kim, return to formation immediately, he ordered. Your diversionary action has served its purpose. Rejoin the main fleet now. Gia hesitated. Her strategy was working. They had disabled nearly a dozen Arcani ships with minimal losses, but disobeying the direct order. Sir, with respect, we can do more damage if we continue. That's an order, Acting Commander. Return to formation. The screen went dark. The bridge fell silent. All eyes on Gia. What are your orders? Captain Doe asked quietly. Gia looked at the tactical display. The main Earth fleet was still following the original plan and still losing badly. If her ships rejoined them, they would be destroyed too. But if they continued their attack, our mission is to protect Earth, she said firmly. All ships prepare for jump sequence Delta. We're targeting the Arcani command vessel. That's disobeying a direct order, Captain Doe warned, though he made no move to stop her. I know, Gia said. I'll accept the consequences, if we survive. The Swift Arrow and its companions jumped again, reappearing near the massive Arcani command ship. It was heavily armed, but like all Arcani vessels, had predictable blind spots. All ships focus fire on these coordinates, Jia ordered, marking specific points on the command ship. This is our best chance to end this battle. As her small fleet moved to attack the heart of the Arcani force, Jia knew she had crossed a line. Either she would save Earth or be remembered as the cadet who failed spectacularly. All ships commence attack, Jia ordered as her small fleet closed in on the massive Arcani command vessel. The swift arrow shook as enemy fire grazed its shields. Around them, the 11 other ships in Jia's fleet moved in perfect formation, just as she had planned. They're responding exactly as predicted, Hana called from the tactical station. Blind spot opening in 5 seconds. All ships target these coordinates, Jia said, marking specific points on the massive command ship. Focus fire on their main power relays. 12 beams of energy struck the Arcani command ship at precisely the same moment. The giant vessel shuddered, and parts of it went dark. Direct hit, Ta shouted. Their main weapons are offline. Captain Doe watched the tactical screen with growing respect. Acting Commander, their defense pattern is shifting. Just as expected, Jia said calmly. All ships prepare for evasive pattern theta. They'll target our engines next. Sure enough, the Arcani vessels that could still fight turned their weapons toward the engines of Earth's ships. But Jia's fleet was already moving, dancing away from the danger zones she had anticipated. On the main view screen, they could see the battle between the Arcani and Earth's main fleet continuing. Earth was still losing ships, but more slowly now. With many Arcani vessels disabled by Jia's attacks, the pressure had eased slightly. Earth Command is hailing us again, Tay reported. This time, it was Admiral Song's face that appeared on screen. He looked surprised to see Jia still in command. Acting Commander Kim, what is your status? Sir, we've disabled 14 Arcani vessels, including partial systems on their command ship, Jia reported. We're continuing our attack pattern. Instead of anger, a faint smile crossed Admiral Song's face. The Arcani seem confused by your tactics. Their fleet is dividing its attention. Yes, sir. Their rigid formations don't adapt well to unexpected threats. Continue your attack, Commander, Admiral Song said. I'm redirecting half our remaining ships to support your strategy. Jia's eyes widened. Sir, your plan is working. It's time we put everything behind it. When the Admiral's face disappeared, a cheer went up from the bridge crew. Captain Doe nodded at Jia with new respect. Orders, Commander, he asked. The Arcani command ship is still partially functional, Jia said, studying the tactical display. If we can disable it completely, their entire fleet will lose coordination. She marked new points on the display. These are cooling vents for their backup power systems. If we hit all of them simultaneously, we can force a complete shutdown without destroying the ship. Why not destroy it? Asked one of the officers. Because we don't need to, Jia answered. And because after this is over, we'll want to talk to them. 20 minutes later, Jia's fleet, now joined by 30 ships from the main Earth force, executed her plan. Precisely targeted shots hit the Arcani command ship's cooling vents. Within seconds, the massive vessel went completely dark. Almost immediately, the remaining Arcani ships stopped firing. Their perfect formations broke apart as some ships drifted while others moved erratically. They've lost central command, Hana said. Their ships are waiting for new orders, but none are coming. Arcani vessels are sending out a signal, Tay reported. It's a request for ceasefire. The bridge erupted in cheers and shouts. Officers who had doubted Jia hours ago now looked at her with amazement. Captain Doe stood at attention and saluted her formally. Earth Command is calling again, Ta said when the celebration quieted. Admiral Yang himself appeared on screen, with Admiral Song beside him. Both men looked tired but relieved. Acting Commander Kim, Admiral Yang said formally. The Arcani fleet has requested terms for surrender. They wish to speak with the commander who defeated them. He paused. That would be you. Jia felt a rush of emotions, relief, pride, and disbelief. They had won. Earth was safe. The Arcani commander will arrive on the Swift Arrow in 1 hour. Admiral Yang continued. Prepare to receive them. And Commander Kim, well done. As the screen went dark, Jia took a deep breath. The battle was over, but she knew an equally challenging task lay ahead. Facing the mighty Arcani warriors who had never known defeat until today. Jia stood in the Swift Arrow's meeting room, her uniform freshly pressed. Beside her were Admiral Song, Captain Do, Hana, and Ta. They waited silently as the Arcani shuttle docked with their ship. Remember, Admiral Song said quietly, this meeting will shape Earth's future relationship with the Arcani. Be diplomatic but firm. Jia nodded, her heart beating fast. She had won the battle, but peace might be harder to achieve. The door slid open. 3 tall Arcani warriors entered the room. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, with blue-gray skin and yellow eyes. The one in front wore elaborate armor with strange symbols. I am Supreme Commander Krav of the Arcani Dominion, the leader said in a deep voice. His yellow eyes scanned the humans until they settled on Admiral Song. Are you the one who defeated my fleet? Admiral Song shook his head. No. Acting Commander Kim led the fleet that disabled your command ship. He gestured to Jia. Supreme Commander Krav looked down at Jia. For a moment, his face showed clear surprise and confusion. This small one? He asked, his voice filled with disbelief. This is your mighty warrior. Jia stepped forward, standing straight and meeting the alien's gaze. I commanded the fleet that targeted your ship's weak points and disabled your command systems. The Arcani commander stared at her. Then, to everyone's shock, he began to laugh. It was a strange, rumbling sound. The Arcani have conquered 12 star systems, he said when his laughter subsided. We have never been defeated in battle. And now we are outsmarted by the smallest warrior in your fleet. He turned to his companions and spoke in their language. They responded with what sounded like surprise. Your victory was not by chance, Krav said, facing Jia again. You studied our patterns. You found weaknesses where others saw only strength. This is true tactical genius. To everyone's surprise, the massive alien warrior placed his fist over his chest and bowed his head slightly toward Jia. The Arcani value strength above all, he continued. But today we learned that strength takes many forms. Your mind is a weapon sharper than our best blades. Does this mean you're withdrawing your demand for Earth's surrender? Admiral Song asked cautiously. Yes, Krav replied. Instead, we offer a treaty of respect. No Arcani will attack your world or colonies. We will trade with you as equals. He looked at Jia again. The Arcani have a saying. The most dangerous enemy is the one you do not see coming. We did not see you, small warrior, until it was too late. 2 hours later, after the Arcani had left with the initial treaty signed, Earth Command called an official reception. Leaders from around the world gathered to celebrate humanity's unexpected victory. In the Grand Hall of the Academy, cadets and officers alike watched as Jia received a medal for her service. Commander Park stood among them, his face a mix of pride and embarrassment. Cadet, forgive me. Commander Kim, he said when he finally approached her. I was wrong about you. We all were. Your tactical genius saved Earth. Jia nodded politely. Thank you, sir. I always knew you had potential, he added quickly. I just wasn't sure you were ready for command. Before Jia could respond, Admiral Yang called for everyone's attention. Today, we honor not just a victory, but a lesson, the Admiral said. Commander Kim reminded us that we must judge people by their abilities, not their appearance or manner. She has been appointed as Earth's new tactical advisor for all future alien negotiations. The room erupted in applause. Hana hugged Jia tightly while Ta grinned beside them. How does it feel? Hana whispered. Everyone who ignored you is now cheering for you." Jia looked around at the faces that had once dismissed her. She felt no desire for revenge or even satisfaction. Instead, she felt a quiet pride in having proven herself and hope for the future. "It feels like a beginning," she answered simply. "We have much to learn about the Arcani, and they about us. And there are other species out there, waiting to be met." As the celebration continued around her, Jill's mind was already working on new strategies for peace. The girl no one took seriously had won more than just a fight. She had won a future for humanity among the stars.